Hey friends, happy Monday. I hope you've had a great weekend and you had a good Monday. I am into day or just finished day 3 of my new job, and it is a local job. It's away from home for the time being. And once I'm up to speed, I think that they'll be a lot more flexible about me having a couple of days working from home and a couple of days working out in the field. I had fun driving around today looking at some of the projects and some of the sites that we're looking at for possible entitlements and home building. So I do work for a home builder. I used to work for a home builder in California, but now I've moved to a local home builder here in Minnesota. And so far, they've been really great people, really not rigid. So I think they'll be really flexible and kind. My boss, though, just she lost her father-in-law last month, and now she's lost her mother today. So if you could send prayers out for her, that'd be great. Her name is Tana. So, okay, so I've got this super adorable suite called the North Pole Delivery, and we're going to be playing with some of the cards that I had made, and we're going to look at the DSP. It's just so cute. So in the new mini catalog, pages 28 to 31, they're showing all these different projects. So you've got all these different projects. They show you all the DSP embellishments, and I'll show you some of those details here in a second as well. And then they have more projects and more projects and more projects. I mean, I love how the catalog has just been displaying all these different ideas for you. So it's been a really fun suite to play with. And I'm just going to be making some simple cards today. I'm not going to do anything really complicated because I think that this DSP has got so much cuteness to it. You really don't need a whole lot. So as you remember, last week we made this, and this little box is the same one that comes with the suite. This is done with a circle. This one is done with a heart. I kept this one pretty simple, and this is punch out artwork that you can add, and then I added the ribbon and the little embellishments. But talk about super easy. But you can see there's a star, and there's also a heart. And then a couple weeks ago, I showed you how to make this adorable card. And of course, we're using the Lights of Aurora DSP, but we used the sentiment and the little bear. And actually doing this helped me think about making a polar bear instead of a black bear. And you can see the same adorable card or bear is actually this great black bear here, and this is die cut from the DSP. And then I showed you this earlier. This was a card that I got in a swap from my Stampin' Share and Leader friends. So this one was done by Robin Rassett, and you can see that she decorated the inside, but isn't that truck cute? And then she used a silver embossing powder to do the packages in the background. And then it looks like she used the shaded spruce, and I think it's soft sea foam is the other side of the color. But isn't that cute? Just a really sweet little card. I love that. Special delivery from here to there. So, okay. So we're going to actually make these 3 cards. And let me just show you. Nothing really complicated. This one was cut from the DSP. And so I wanted to show how cute these little animals are. This one was the punch out art and then layered on DSP. So again, nothing complicated. I didn't make it real hard. And this one was just a little bit of fussy cutting with the DSP and a little bit of this ribbon that it just feels like snow, or just it's so beautiful. It's really soft and lovely. But I wanted to show you some of the elements. So these are the DSP papers, and you can see they just have really fun envelopes. They've got these fun trucks, all these cute little animals. And then I love this check or grid, and then more fun animals. I love this. Pool party is so much my favorite. Little towns, and then more mailboxes. And then look at all the colors. And then there's 2 sheets of punch out art, and I'll show you those in just a second. So basic black, white, and then we got Cajun Craze, Cherry Cobbler, Crumb Cake, Early Espresso, Flirty Flamingo, Garden Green, Gray Granite, Pecan Pie, Petal Pink, Pool Party, Poppy Parade, Pumpkin Pie, and Berry Vanilla. Just tons of options. And then this is more of the DSP that's been cut out, these 3, like these. And then these are the punch outs, and these are the punch outs. This is a punch out. And then you can see this stamp set has all of these adorable little animals, little critters that are able to be cut out. And I just lost my bling. See if I can get it. I have this desk that has this opening in the back. There we go. Okay, so here are the embellishments as well. That's what I dropped. And you can see all these great colors. So this is the Poppy Parade, Petal Pink, Pool Party, and then we've got our Garden Green. So really great colors to go with everything. And then on top of that is this little box. So this is the box, and I showed you last week how you can either use 6-inch square 12 by 12 paper, or even like a 6x6 DSP, or you can use 5.5 by 8.5, and it'll fit in. So in other words, you can use 8.5 by 11. You can make 2 of them, or you can use 12 by 12 and you can make 4 of them. So really quite versatile, and I think super cute, and lots of options. All right, so the dies, like I showed you, this is the package, and then these are all the little critters that you can cut. And so all of these, including the little paw print, can all be cut. It's so cute. All right, so for the first card we're going to make, it's super easy, and it's just the punch out DSP. So let me show you. So this is 12 by 12 paper, and there are 2 sheets of die cut. Just need to find it. All right. So here's one. So you can see all these critters, and we're using, so for this card, I used this one, and then now I'm going to use the opposite. So I'm going to make the same card, but it'll just be flipped the other way. But isn't that cute? A little golden retriever. We've got a little tiny, oh, what are those called? Anyway, we've got a chipmunk, and then they're not a possum. They got the little pricklies. I don't think it's a porcupine, but it's some little critter like that. And they're all just carrying their little cards, getting ready to put them in the mailbox. So cute. Anyway, it's a fun card. And so I just punched out this little critter, and the golden retriever. And then from the other punch out art, just trying to get it. You can see that you've got all these buildings and trucks and packages and stamps. I mean, oh my goodness, there's so much that you can punch out of here. So I took one of the other, so in other words, there's two of everything. So you can make at least two of exactly the same card, but there's so many varieties. And I just love like these little stamps. I think I'm going to add that to one of my cards. I think it's just so cute. And just so much. I could go on and on about this. So cute. Okay, so for the first card, I'm using a basic white 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm just going to braise it. And this is one where we're just letting the DSP do the hard work. Why complicate things? Hey, Linda, thanks for joining me. Okay, so we've got the little chipmunk, and I wish I could remember what this little critter is. If anybody knows what this little critter is, let me know. Okay, so I'm using a 5 3/8 and 4 1/8 piece of petal pink, and I'm just going to glue it down. And then I'm using a 4" by 5 1/4 piece of the DSP. And I typically don't go bigger than that, but I actually did in one of my projects because that allows me to get 6 cards out of one piece of DSP. So I just love all these different envelopes. I am a snail mail person. I think getting cards is so special. So it's lots of fun. Okay, so now out of the basic white, I cut from the Impressions of Bloom dies. They have a die that just will cut out this great oval. I think it's a great way to, present your, or to kind of hide the really busy DSP. So I think it's just a great way to kind of calm it down just a little bit. Okay, but before I put that on, this one, I didn't do anything to it. I just was quickly trying to put it together just to keep things going. But this time I'm going to just pop it up a little bit, or just kind of add a little bit more element to it. And I'm going to use my stamp pad, and I'm just going to add a little bit more color with the petal pink. So it's just adding a little bit of something and using my blending brush, and then I'm going to add some sprinkles using my Real Red, or you can use Poppy Parade, whatever you want. So just adding a little bit of little something. Okay, and then I will just glue this on. And then next, I will start popping up my little punch out art. So this is where you just start using some of your dimensionals, and you just kind of start figuring out what you want to do. Now, obviously, I'm just going to follow this card exactly. And so I've got this up here. I do need to stamp my sentiment before I go any further. So typically I try to do that before I glue it down. So let's hope that I don't mess anything up. Okay, so Merry Christmas and Happy Wishes. There we go. All right, put this out of the way. And then I've got my puppy. And he is just the opposite of the puppy on this side. So this is your DSP. So it gives you the opportunity to do mirror image. And then I've got my little chipmunk. And he's got his little Christmas card to mail. And then, oh, I wish I knew what this was. Cannot believe I can't think of it. They're super cute. I see people with them all over the internet. And so he's got his little one. So it's just simple, super simple card. And look how quickly that came together, just less than 5 minutes. And then I've got this little stamp that's part of the punch out, and I'm just going to put it on the inside. There. So easy, easy card. And then you can just use a little DSP on your envelope and you're good to go. So you can see it just kind of added a little bit more something something by adding the blending brush with a little more petal pink and then the red sparkles or the red little speckles. So super cute card. Okay, we'll put that one aside. All right, so the next one we're going to make is this one here. And I'm going to show you how you can die cut, how many different things you can die cut out of the DSP. Okay, so this is the DSP that has all the critters that can be die cut out. So using the dies, you can see that I can die cut out the bear. I can die cut out this little package. I can die cut, so these are the little paw prints. All right. And then I can die cut out this little badger. And then with the other DSP that has critters, so I can die cut either this puppy or this puppy. Now this one doesn't have a an envelope in his mouth, but this one does. And then so I can die cut this doggy. Obviously the ones that are going the other direction would be a little bit harder. You'd have to try to do it from the back. So anyway, so you can see you can do that one. And then the kitty cat. These kitties are all going this way. So this little black and white kitty. So you can got a number of those that you can do. And again, this kitty would probably work, but you'd have to die cut it from the back, which means you'd have to hold it up. And so that'd be a little bit harder. But lots of things you can die cut just with these two. And then you can also I know there is one. Oh, here it is. Okay, so you've got these fun little towns. We're going to do that one on our last card. But this one here, it allows you to die cut a bunch of these green and red mailboxes. So any of them with the candy striping on the corners, this die will cut out all of these. So you've got tons of them that you could die cut out of the DSP. And then as far as this last die, which handles all of these packages and envelopes, I've gone through and I've been able to die cut out like this one, the big cream one, and then this envelope as well, you can die cut. So you can see this one here or the cream one, the bigger of the cream ones work. I think you can do the little ones as well. So you've got lots of options of things you can die cut. So it makes it really fun. All right, so I need these 3 things in order to do this card. So I'm going to just cut these 3 out. And of course you've got all these other critters that you can fussy cut out. And I need this bear. Okay. So just to get this ready, use my Post-it note and cut out my bear. And just get it centered as best I can. And then my little badger. So cheerful, so cute. And then my little package. All right, let's die cut this out. And there's my little badger. There's my bear. And my little gift. All right. I'm going to save these because I'm going to possibly use some more. The inside of the envelope. Okay. So for this card, again, I'm using the basic white card base. And this one's already been scored, but helps to raise it. And we're turning it this way. And then because this is so busy and dark, but I wanted the coordinating color, I went ahead and I am using a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, which is not typical for me. You could go down to 4 inch by 5 1/4 and then make everything a little bit smaller. And I think it would still work. That way you're not using up extra DSP, but I love this pattern. I think it's fun. Okay. And then I have this, and this is it's not a plaid, a grid in the red and very vanilla. And even though it's very vanilla, I'm still using it. Just kind of has a really nice, fun antique look to it. And so what I'm doing is I'm just distressing the edges because I like this. And I like to distress the edges of stuff. Just kind of, and you can see the other side is some of these envelopes. You can use your nail if you don't want to use your scissors. And then I'm just going to curl up the edges a little bit, the corners. I can spin through the wringer. And then I will add it to my card base. I'm not doing anything really special with these cards because I've already shown you how you can color the different animals, and this is just a really beautiful card, and so you can get really carried away or you can make it easy, and I'm all about making it easy tonight. Okay, so I cut out a piece of basic white using the second to the largest. These are the perennial postage dies, and I love how they coordinate with this suite because of the postage. You know, you've got just the postal theme to this North Pole delivery. And so, again, this one I didn't do anything to, but I just felt like, you know, there's definitely an opportunity to add an element of something. And because the background of this DSP is pool party, I'm just going to add a little bit of pool party. And just gently add a little element. So I think the fun thing about adding the blender brush to your card base is you can then flick a little bit of water, and I have a lot of water in here, so I'm just going to flick a little bit of water on this, and what it does is it causes the blended area to kind of dry, and it almost takes the color off. So it'll give it a minute to dry, and then I'll show you. And then I'm going to add more of the red again. I don't like flicking my blends with the cap, so I tend to do it this way. So, and this is where I'm using actually real red, but you can use the Poppy Parade instead. Okay, I'm going to turn this around, and I'm not really seeing the water. Oh, it is there. So it's made a little bit of a pattern here. Can't see it very well on the video, but it is there. So now we're going to glue this down. And you can see where if I used a slightly smaller of this one, then I would only have to use a 4" by 5¼ of the green DSP. And it would go further, especially if you're trying to do Christmas cards. Now let's get this straightened out. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to want to pop this up. And this guy, and he's got a little package for his friend. And obviously this guy's got lots of packages, but I love how they just are kind of looking at each other. Now I changed this guy's eyes and it didn't really help. So I tried doing a little bit of color to change it, but he's looking up a little higher. So, all right, now this is the DSP that we used as the background, and you can see it's got these North Pole little symbols, and so I'm actually going to cut one of these out using this circle, which matches the North Pole stamp in the stamp set. Okay, so I'm just going to cut one of these out real quick so I can add it to my sentiment. Okay, so now I've got a scrap here so I can stamp my sentiment, and I'm just going to stamp it in black. And I'm using special delivery. And then I'm just going to die cut it out real quick. And I should have just done the little north arrow at the same time. Oh well. So I wanted to give you guys an update about my husband's health. He did not qualify for the immunotherapy, so he is going to have to do the radiation treatment and the hormone reversal therapy, which means it take all of his testosterone away, and that's supposed to bring the PSA numbers, which is the prostate cancer markers, down to 0. So he got his first shot today on that, and then he's supposed to go see the radiology department so that they can fit him for, it's like a saddle, but it'll be for his hip area, so that when they do the radiation therapy, his body is always in the same place, and that way they can just get right to the area where his cancer most likely is spread, and they're going to work on that. So, okay, so what I've done is I have this little special delivery that I used from the cute little perennial postage dies, and it just fits that sentiment perfectly. And then I'm using a 7/8 by 2-inch piece of the garden green, and I'm just going to glue that on there, and it fits this sentiment perfectly as well. And then I have this cute little north arrow that I'm going to attach to this, and then I'll support it with, let's see, how do I want to do this? And then I can support it at the same time. So when I'm doing my dimensionals, I'll make sure that I include that as well. And then I can just bring it here at an angle. Now, as you can see, I've got this owl, and then I've got another little envelope. So I'm just going to cut that out real quick. And that way I can add it to my envelope. So I think this would be really cute. And as usual, I'm just being really relaxed about the fussy cutting. I'm not one of those that has to have everything absolutely perfect. And you will notice that if fussy cuts something out, very seldom do you notice how perfect it is. Got to be kind to ourselves and kind to anybody that's willing to send you a card. Alrighty. So now we've got this little, and I think this guy right here will be fun. And maybe I'll cut something else out and put it here. But I think this guy would be really cute right under the stamp. Really cute. All right. So now we're done. And you can see that just adding that little bit of element, one thing I did forget for both of these cards is the embellishments. So for this one, I used primarily the garden green and the petal pink. And I think I'll use a red as well. No, I think I'll keep it just these colors. So that's that one. And then this one here, I need to pop these guys up. This little badger is so cute. He's got the sweetest little smile. Can't see the bear's smile just as much because he's kind of got all that black. And then, of course, the little gift. And we're just going to put it a little bit closer to the badger. Super cute. And then we're just going to use the red ones, the Poppy Parade this time. But you can see by just adding the blender brush and the little speckles, it just kind of adds a little bit more to the card. So, all right. And then the last one is this cute card. Okay, so this is a lot more fussy cutting, but I'm using a pool party card base, and this one is 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, and then it's this nice long card. And you could make your little, instead of it being up and down, you can make it side to side. So maybe we'll try that this time. So this is a piece of Poppy Parade, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then this is the polka dots that has the little animals on the back. But I love the polka dots. Isn't that cute? It's just kind of got a really great, oh, thanks, Amy. So I like the polka dots. I just think they're so pretty. So we're going to make this card landscape instead of up and down, just to kind of get a little different look. And you can see that you've got these cute little homes or these little storefronts. And I love this little bridge in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fussy cut around this and lop off the ends. So I have the little bridge in the middle. Okay, so the way I'm doing that, let me cut the bottom with my cutter. So I want the area just below the little shops. And I'm going to cut that off straight. And then I need, and I'm just going to kind of just cut it so that it looks like it's supposed to be fussy cut, like so. And then and again, I'm not getting really particular. I'm just going around the trees and then going across the roofs. A little bow there. And then I am going to cut a little bit closer right here. And then I'm going to cut a smooth corner. Okay. So I've got a little bit of the town here. And I want a little bit of this fuzzy, so you can see how soft it is, ribbon. So I need enough for across the bottom. I'm cutting a little bit more than I need so that I can lay it down and still have room for my sentiments. So one of the things I should do first, since I again put my cardstock down before stamping my sentiment, is I need to stamp that first. So I'm going to be using Sending Merry Tidings from Here to There. And I wish it said From My Home to Yours, but we'll just put this at the very bottom. Then the inside, you can have it say Merry Christmas and Happy Wishes, or hoping this Christmas is the most magical yet. You've got lots of options for sentiments. And I think this is a cute little stamp set for Christmas. So it's really fun. This will be a fun one to send to my grandchildren. Okay. So before I go any further, I am going to lay this down, and then this will go right here. So I'm going to use my tear and tape. I like that the best when I am trying to lay down ribbon, unless it's smaller than this. So I'm going to use this across here, and I'm going to leave a little bit more space than I did that time. It was like a last minute thought. It's like, this just looks like a snowy street. So I'm going to add this, and then I can just snip off what I don't need. Okay. And then I'll show you how I'm going to add these. So, but I need some more of the street scene. So we have all of these different pieces. And so I have this, and now I think I want this one. And so again, with my cutter, I want to cut just below. So I already have this and this, and the next one I want is this one, and then this. So I'll do these two together, and I think they'll fit just fine. This is a little bit harder to fussy cut when it's all one piece. I should have cut it into strips. I'm not sure if this other tree will fit, but I'm going to cut it out just in case. Just maybe. We'll make this a little bit smaller. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put dimensionals on the backs of the buildings, but not at the bottom. The bottom I'm going to do a little bit of glue. And then I'm going to use mini dimensionals, not the big ones, just because that way I can put more in different places along the tops of the buildings. So I'm not sure if you can see this. Let me put it up so you can see what I'm doing. So I put a strip of glue down at the bottom, and then at the back of the tops of the buildings, I'm adding dimensionals. So it kind of pops up. And this will let me kind of tuck my street scene into the ribbon, because I want it to kind of look like it's snowing. And then I can pull up my ribbon and bring it up just a smidge. So it looks like the street is full of snow. And then I'm going to do the same again with this piece and put dimensionals on the backs. And then when I'm done, if you look at this card, you'll see that it's tucked in and then it has dimensionals behind the tops of each one of the buildings. So it doesn't make your card stick out too much, but it just kind of gives it a nice little 3D look. So let me do that again. So I'm just going to add some dimensionals. I've got these longer ones too. And I need to add at the end of the street. And then behind the tree. So at each roof, and then the trees as well. And then I'll just kind of tuck this under again. And then we've got this sweet little street scene, and it just looks like you're looking at this cute town, and I just love how it does that. You could add more Christmas trees behind there if you wanted to. Like the Christmas trees here, I could cut these out and add a few behind just to add a little visual interest, but we don't really need to. And then all I did, the last thing I did was add my embellishments. And I just alternated between the pool party and the poppy parade. So just wherever you feel like it needs it. I think I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This time I just did 5. I think it's enough. But isn't it cute? Maybe this one could go over here. Really fun little cards. All right. Well, that's all I have for you tonight. It was fun having you, and I love showing you this adorable, sweet collection. There's just so much you can do with it. Obviously, there's tons of coloring that's available with this cute stamp set. And like I said, all of these things, they all are able to be cut out. There's dies for every single one of those. And then there's the cute little boxes that you can make that this is what I showed you last week. And this is what I did with this suite. I didn't do any decoration other than just a punch out and some embellishments and a little bit of the ribbon. And you can still open it up. And like I showed you, this fits the little Hershey bars, or I think the Ghirardelli squares would also work. So either one, it's really cute. And I know there's somebody that's done a gift card and she just doesn't fold them as much. So if you take a look at it, if you bring up this Jolly Delivery dies and then look for a gift box, you'll see that she made it into a gift card holder just by not making it as thick. So it's flat instead. So super fun. Thanks so much for joining me again. Oh, thank you, Amy. It's very sweet. Yeah, these, I really like the horizontal as well. I think I like it better than the vertical one. So just so fun. And this DSP, you just kind of keep cutting it out and just into the little lengths. And I think it would make some really great Christmas cards. So have a great evening. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this later on YouTube. Thanks so much.